Many of us have heard of nuclear energy, the dangers of it, and how it could potentially affect our environment. But not everyone knows exactly what it is, which is why many people are afraid of it. Nuclear energy is the energy harvested from the splitting of atoms, called nuclear fission, and the combining of atoms, called nuclear fusion. Here on Earth, and in nuclear reactors that are currently running, the only source of power that comes from nuclear energy comes from nuclear fission. This is because, unlike nuclear fusion, nuclear fission doesn't require an enormous ball of gas that's 330,000 times more massive than the Earth in order to happen. That's right, nuclear fusion occurs inside the sun, and is why that ball of gas in the sky is emitting heat 24/7. At any rate, the way that nuclear reactors work is that they take highly volatile elements like uranium and plutonium and split the atoms of the substance by force. This causes a chain reaction to take place that releases a tremendous amount of heat. This heat is usually used to heat up something called the cooling agent. In most cases, this is just plain old water. This water then produces steam which powers turbines to finally get power to generators that produce electricity to be used in homes and businesses. Now that's great that this energy harvesting works in theory, but how about in practice? Devastating news has surfaced over the years, such as the tragedies at Chernobyl and Fukushima, and many people are afraid that the same could happen if a nuclear reactor were to be constructed near them. Numerous photos depicting victims of severe exposure to radiation have circulated the internet, and fear of nuclear weapons has been prevalent since they were first used during World War II. The disaster at Chernobyl's nuclear power plant still to this day serves as a reminder of what can go wrong when the operators and design of the plant are faulty. The Chernobyl disaster occurred because of some glaring design flaws that have since been fixed in subsequent reactors, along with better training for the operators so that nothing like this could happen again. This brings us to Fukushima in 2011, where an earthquake followed by a 14-foot tsunami flooded the Fukushima nuclear power plant and caused the plant to melt down. This time, though, the disaster was much more contained, and the people living around the reactor were safely evacuated with little to no exposure to the radiation from the plant. As a result of the meltdowns that have happened in these two reactors, the safety restrictions on nuclear plants are quite extensive. These safety measures include special rods that encase the uranium or plutonium fuel, giant steel chambers that house the rods of fuel as well as the cooling systems, and the building that encases the reactor, which is made out of reinforced concrete. Workers at these plants have to undergo countless safety training and certifications in order to ensure the operations of the plant run smoothly. Additionally, in the United States, there are 2 people at every nuclear plant called resident inspectors that perform safety and regulation inspections of the plant nearly every day of the year. In fact, working in nuclear energy is so safe that I would argue it is much safer than working at, say, an offshore oil rig. Now let's look at how much power these reactors can produce. Nuclear reactors are still running today in the United States, and they provide nearly 20% of the national electricity, which is almost the same as coal. On average, just one of these reactors can generate up to 1 gigawatt or 1 billion watts, which is enough to power 20,000 homes. This means that nuclear energy is the 3rd most used source of electricity behind natural gas and coal, all while being clean energy. Yes, you heard me, clean energy, at least technically. The reason that nuclear energy is considered clean is because none of the waste is released into the water or the air like fossil fuels. The process of nuclear fission in a reactor does create some extremely hazardous radioactive waste, which is known to cause cancer and bone decay. But this waste is handled with extreme caution, and all of it is stored in holes deep underground so that the waste cannot enter groundwater or the environment. As far as sustainability goes, there's no other way to put it. As of right now, nuclear energy cannot power the globe forever. This is because the nuclear fission process requires uranium or plutonium, which are exceedingly rare to find and hard to mine and purify. Right now, there is enough uranium left that can be mined on land to power current nuclear plants for 230 years. That isn't too great, but the good news is that there is an abundance of uranium in the world's oceans. In fact, there is so much uranium in the ocean that if we could efficiently process it, it could power nuclear reactors for 5,700 years. This is all without recycling the fuel, which is possible with certain reactors and future technologies that could extend that 5,700 years to nearly 300,000 years of power. Now, while nuclear power certainly has its drawbacks, so does every other sustainable source of energy. The drawbacks of nuclear energy are currently being worked on by the world's brightest nuclear engineers, and once the technology improves, this could be the best option for energy production. Overall, nuclear energy seems like the best solution to the world's growing need for clean energy right now, and seems to be the most effective option. The only problem left is getting public support for nuclear power, since most of the public is afraid of the dangers of nuclear energy use. Hello everyone, thank you for watching my first ever video on this channel. If you liked it, please consider liking and subscribing, and leave a comment down below. The most liked comment will be the topic for next week that I'll cover. I don't care how stupid or silly it is. Thank you.